Hello and welcome to our very first episode of How I Clicked Here, an interview series exploring how unique industry folk got to where they are now, the impact they're making, and how digital and social media play a role in their career. Our first guest is none other than Professor Tom Handley. Tom specializes in fashion public relations and marketing at Parsons School for Design, located in Manhattan. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, how are you today, Josh?
I'm doing pretty good. I definitely have some questions for you. Are you ready?
Bring it on.
Okay. So, Tom, you've literally helped guide and teach famous designers, entrepreneurs, executives at Fortune 500 companies, all manner of New York creatives. Did you always want to be a professor, or was it more of a path that revealed itself?
It was a path that revealed itself, but it was also one of my friends that I've been friends with for probably 25 years said, "You've always been teaching. You just didn't know that you were doing it, but in a way, you informed us about what was happening, exhibits that were going on, films, plays, whatever was happening, you were always sort of um, giving the 411 on what was happening. And so, in that sense, I know I've been reminded that I've been teaching for years, but it was
I've
sort of,
definitely, I've definitely had a few restaurant recommendations from you, if nothing else.
and I forgot restaurant recommendations, and I think that no matter what we do, no matter who we are in a sense re-educate. But then when a COO decided that I wasn't any longer um, to be at the brand that I was the executive VP for, he said goodbye, and I said hello to job search. And back in the day, the way it was done, and I phone rang, and it was someone, young woman said, "Hi, I have Dean Klein on the phone for you." And I literally thought, what guy did I give my phone number to whose name is Dean? And what gall did he have to have his assistant call me? Oh,
That's amazing.
but then all of a sudden, this effervescent voice. "Hi, it's Pam Klein." And I was like, "Dean Klein, how are you?" "No, call me Pam." And that was all she wrote. And that was right before my first semester.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what was it specifically about the PR and marketing world that kind of drew you to it?
It was sort of a unique thing where I knew in the past brands that I was working for sort of needed PR. And that was before the publicist was well known. Before it was a very unique and specialized exclusive club that we
Right.
were the gatekeepers to the world. And I was working for a great designer at the time, Heidi Wiesel, who which I'm still great friends with. She was dressing more red carpet people at. I remember at one Golden Globes, we dressed more nominees than anyone other than Giorgio Armani because he dressed men and women, and we
Oh
were only
gosh.
dressing women. So that was pretty crazy. But knowing that I wanted to have the brand grow sales wise, because I was running sales at the time, I knew that we needed to get more exposure. So I learned the art of the pitch, sort of going back to my PR education. And I remember pitching Women's Wear Daily. Bobby Queen was the greatest um, editor at Women's Wear. And thank God through my relationships there and at InStyle, I got the cover of Women's Wear. I got the cover of InStyle with Drew Barrymore,
Hmm.
and realized that as I teach today, to establish and maintain mutually beneficial relationships. And I live by that.
Very cool. So I've actually known you for a while. I wanted to ask you, I don't know a lot of your past history. So what's one thing that I don't know about your past professional experience?
Well, maybe you're not um, well versed, I'll say, on my time at Ralph Lauren. I was at Ralph Lauren for 9 years. Um, Happened to be there at the time of some amazing people. Kelly Klein was our receptionist. Um, John Barbados was on, I remember John's last day. He was headed to Armani and he wore an Armani suit. And everyone was like, wow. So, and then Tori Birch was in marketing, and I knew her before she went into the marketing department. She was at Women's Wear, and just one of the greatest. She is one of the greatest minds, and now everyone knows Tori Birch. But I think being there at Ralph Lauren at the time where Ralph owned the company, and it was a very, very small company.
Yeah,
But we did, billions of dollars of sales. We were still a tight team, and I love that. That was a
that's a
very special
yeah,
life.
that's a special time at Ralph Lauren. I mean, I feel like those were kind of the heyday. That was kind of the heyday for the brand. I mean, that's amazing. So I know you've been a professor for many years now. What is it that gets you excited about teaching university students?
I think seeing successes. When you teach a student and you see, I can't make a star. And I'm lucky at Parsons, we have the greatest students in the world. They come from all over the world. But I know that I can make an apple shine even more.
Yeah,
So in a way, that when they do well, when they get an internship or a job, just today, I had a text from a current student that I set her up with an internship um, lead. She ran with it and got an offer today to
oh,
be an
amazing.
intern. I was like,
Love hearing that.
yes. So seeing those successes, I've placed just over 400 people in internships
Wow,
and just under 200 in salaried positions. So when seeing that success, that's what really gets me going on a daily basis, because I know that what I teach is very applicable to the industry. The projects I work on, I've been doing the same project and it's morphed since 2005 when I started.
that's actually a good lead in, the last thing you were saying there, to the next question, which is, you know, this year is such a strange year. You have students basically falling asleep in Zoom classes all over the country. So how do you ensure that your students, you know, these amazing students from all over the world you were describing who go on to become the leader of creative industries, how do you ensure that they're really engaging with the knowledge you're trying to impart?
In a way, social media is the same as the content that I deliver. It's all about the content. It's the way it's delivered. It's the way you engage with the students. I do great PowerPoints that are exciting to watch. You can listen to them. They can, listen to it like a podcast. and then watch it again. And I know that my style is not the same as everyone. I'm a little more, jazz hands in a way, but that keeps them engaged.
Love
I
jazz.
know that I don't like reading, right? Exactly. I don't love reading a million emails and going back and forth, pardon me. And I know that at one point I just said, give them all your cell phone number, let them know your WhatsApp, and say, if you've got a question, text me and we can set up a time to talk or a Zoom call. Absolutely great, because I always explain it this way. If you were in a job, you wouldn't always email your boss if they were just down the hall. You would walk by and say, hey, do you have 5 minutes? And they would respond. You wouldn't have to have a big delay in, if it's time zone, let's say your client is in Shanghai, you're in New York. Sometimes it's better just to jump on a Zoom call or just pick up the phone. So with
Yeah.
students, I want them to feel that connection, that they can text me no matter where in the world they are. And I think I'm teaching in 8 time zones. So, pick up the phone. Why not?
So outside of university life, I know you help guide some pretty well-known companies in PR and marketing strategy. So I'm just curious, how do these opportunities, we've spoken about them before, how do these opportunities come about for you typically? Is it, just former students, or is it your network, or,
I think
how do these come about?
it's a combination, Josh. I think that it's about the relationships that I've built in the industry over my number of years. So it might be from a friend. I've got a friend that I've known for probably since 1987. And she asked me a question. Hey, do you know a great creative agency? I said, I only know one that I love, and it's someone that I worked with back in maybe 97, 98. So I was like, okay, I'm going to connect them, but realize that that connection you can monetize. If it's going to be, that one was a $2.4 million connection
My
over 2 years.
goodness.
That was amazing.
And you're telling me you
Sometimes,
got a little percentage of that? That's a nice little payday.
sorry, you just
That
broke
may
up.
be too much information.
Yeah, TMI. But, I think that it could be, I never, for the most part, have never gone after business.
Yeah.
I'm really blessed, knock on wood, that I've never had to pitch business. There was one thing that I realized was a great opportunity. I started teaching an intern program at one agency because I knew I had my summers mostly free. So I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I looked at what my passion was and turned that into, from one agency to 7, and would teach, you know, um, different agencies Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, afternoon, morning. And that was amazing. In fact, I was just connecting with a former intern, not a student. She graduated from the University of Texas, and she's one of the top, most senior PR people at Twitter.
Wow.
I know. And I thought she was still in San Francisco. She said, nope, my husband and I moved to Austin.
That's
I'm
amazing.
like, great,
Yeah,
awesome.
that strikes me about you is how you just touch so many people, and I think it's truly just your passion that you have quite the network, you know, after all these years.
So one of the things that I really believe in, and it all goes back to musical theater. Um, the song from Wicked, I've been changed for good. I know it says people come into our lives for a moment. Um, and no matter how you're touched, that I've been changed for good.
Wow.
I've been changed by so many people that I've engaged with, being a student, being an intern, be it a friend, be it a connection, like how you and I met. That was like unique.
Yeah.
But I know that I have been changed for good. And everything that all these people that I've been in contact with, I'm lucky enough. I found out today or yesterday via LinkedIn, a former student has started an agency and she's already got 4 great clients. I was like, amazing.
Yeah.
She goes, and her response back, I was like, hey, congrats. She goes, I was just telling my mother about you. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today.
My gosh. I mean, what more can you ask for as a professor? That's amazing. So let me ask you to loop it further.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. To loop it kind of further that direction. So, what is it specifically about digital and social media that you think is important for your students to really grasp? You know, because I know maybe not every student comes to you and is thinking, you know, they may be thinking, I want this class for this reason, but I know you feel strongly about the digital and social media side. So, what is it that you really want them to get about that?
I think I deliver, well, I started in 2009 making sure that every student was on Twitter. And back then, people were like, what's that? You know? And I remember, okay, well, you're going to really appreciate that you're on. And so there's certain things that I would do in order to get them engaged. If it were an assignment about something they were working on, and they would use specific hashtags. But it also was realizing that, and this was pre social media blowing up and new platforms coming on board, that they needed to be current and relevant. They needed to have understand that not, if you're not current and relevant, you're a dinosaur. And I want them just to maximize what they can do and know the importance in living in a digital world. So anymore, it's like it's almost like a memory muscle.
Yeah,
Digital, it's just what it is.
absolutely. So, staying with this same theme, are there any trends you've noticed or have been seeing recently with regards to social media marketing world?
Well, I think influencers and the change in influencers, people used to think, oh, influencers, they're nothing. Or before they were called influencers. And I remember one of my friends was working at Dolce & Gabbana in Milan, and he staged that photo of Brian Boy sitting next to Anna Winter. And that was like all she wrote. That made then influencers sitting front row.
Hmm,
And I think then how digital influencers have morphed. And you look at Charlie D'Amelio on TikTok, the #1 TikTok person. She grew from 1 million to now just over 100 million in 1 year.
unbelievable.
Crazy. what something like quarantine can do.
Yeah, lots of time indoors on your phone, right? Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Absolutely.
What's your personal kind of favorite platform to spend time on and why?
Well, we all go down that rabbit hole of TikTok, and I follow food um, creators. Everyone's like, oh, thinking if I don't know TikTok, that maybe, oh, that's for teenagers. Well, I think a majority of people, other than Charlie D'Amelio, are probably in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. There's one woman that I think is amazing, and she's gotten all this media coverage, named Sassy Gran. And she's like a
Sassy
80
Gran.
grand, I think it's Sassy Gran.
Gotcha. Okay.
And she's like a 90-year-old grandmother who's like
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about, actually.
draped
Yeah.
in Chanel. Her grandson usually interviews her in the car.
Yeah. Got
And
a lot of attitude, that one, right?
yeah, absolutely. So, what I think is it's not just, a kids platform, even though the way young people have used it to influence politics,
Yeah.
love it, love it. But
And
I
we were
do
talking about
believe.
the Dunkin' Donuts too, right? I mean,
Oh, Dunkin', yeah, we dropped the donuts. Just Dunkin'. They rebranded.
true.
So the drink that the Charlie, go and order the Charlie. And I
Which
know
is, of
some,
course, from the TikTok star you just mentioned.
yeah, and that influence in a time of quarantine when you can go to a drive up or go in and order and take it to go. And everyone, obviously, everyone loves coffee.
Yeah.
But for them to collaborate with this 16-year-old and driving people into their stores,
Yeah.
amazing,
Yeah. And I believe there was actually a sales spike from this partnership too, right? I mean,
huge.
it's unbelievable. So, last question for you. Um, for you, what's one account that you think everyone should follow? Someone you are obsessed with or spend too much time, or someone you think anyone could benefit something from?
Well, I think everyone can look at Charlie D'Amelio. She's just amazing.
Yeah.
How she's grown her follower base, but I think from an aesthetic point of view, and back when I was so I was also teaching in grade school in Spain, and I was going to Madrid probably 6 times a year to lecture. Then I was lecturing at the same time in Florence, so I was going back and forth. That was a little much. But what I
It's like
gave
a
a really,
great little setup you had there, Tom.
yeah, I was pretty, I won't complain. Um, I got lots and lots and lots and lots of stamps on my passport.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But one of the things that I did, I was the keynote speaker at this huge lecture, huge conference in Pamplona. And I did it on redefining the visual narrative. And when you think about the strength of visual, the impact that it's got, one of the people that I really love is a dear friend named Luis Fernandez. His Instagram at Luis Fern Fern 5. So Luis Fern 5. Um, Phenomenal architect turned fashion designer.
Yeah.
Um,
His
and
designs are amazing.
his designs were amazing, but his use of his eye to impact his Instagram beyond amazing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
It's just sort of like, in a way, visual porn. You're just
Yeah.
drawn to it. You look at it and you're like, wow, amazing. So that's absolutely one person I definitely suggest people follow for just his eye.
Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant.
He is a very cool guy. Well, Tom, I so appreciate you being our very first guest.
Thank
Um,
you.
loved this. Maybe we could do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Always available for you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.